Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Las Vegas. That made me look so much more fancy than I am. I had no idea I had done so many PSAs and news programs. I looked like Christiana Mapour there. That's amazing. I was telling Joe I've never gotten a standing ovation for anything, so thank you for also fulfilling that dream. Uh, it's such an honor to get this right before Joe departs. Sad faces. I have become a very good friend of Joe's, and I really value his friendship. And also, he has really introduced me to the world of what it means to be visible and to be an activist. And he is really my role model. So I salute him. And yes, both of you also agree. Two people, Joe. Two people clapped for that. So. But they were very, very, very determined to clap. It's so funny that Joe mentioned the Sally Hemings and American Scandal show that I just have to tell this really funny story really briefly before I get into my remarks. I did that when I was it was like 1996 or something, and I don't know how many of you know this, but Sally Hemings had some illegitimate children with Thomas Jefferson, and they had reddish hair, and she was already half black, and I didn't know at the time. I apologize. I didn't know that the term mulatto was not a word that you should use. So I had told my sister that I was playing a mulatto, and she told my mom that I was playing a mulatto, and my mom says, "Oh no, honey, I think you mean albino." So. No, I was playing half black. Diane Carroll was my grandma. It's true. It's very exciting to be here in Las Vegas. It was very exciting to see La Rev up here. While I was in town, I actually went to their open call. And so what you saw was actually the audition combination, which I nailed. So I might be moving to Vegas. Yeah. Have my singlet fitting tomorrow. I hear my boyfriend Justin laughing. That's why he's my boyfriend, because he thinks I'm funny. Okay, so I have not always considered myself to be a very visible person. Obviously, I can be seen and heard. But as a kid, I was extremely, extremely shy. I was very, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this. You know, growing up in maybe a bullying sort of atmosphere. But I kind of tried to disappear actually and be invisible. And I went to 12 years of Catholic school. Yeah. So, which, by the way, when they throw the Bible excuses at me, and then I was like, oh, okay, well, what about mixing cattle with other cattle like it says in the Bible? We do that now, and they're like, you don't understand. You're taking it out of context. I was just 12 years. I know the Bible. Shut up. So, but I was a very quiet kid back then, and I went to St. Pius X High School, home of the Spartans. Yes, our school mascot was an ancient Greek citizen. I don't know what that means, but I was very obsessed with arts and musical theater, and my high school had no funding for any of that stuff, and I had no outlet. And every other year they would do a spring musical. My junior year it was Little Abner, that old chestnut, and my freshman year, it was Bye Bye Birdie, and I was cast as Albert Peterson, the lead, of course, the Dick Van Dyke part, and I actually, sidebar, I had to quit because I was caught stealing pornography from a local Hastings book, and my parents grounded me, and I was not allowed to be in the High School Musical. And just a note to parents everywhere: if your son is 15 and caught stealing gay porn, maybe asking him to not be in the High School Musical is not the best form of punishment. He obviously needs an outlet. Let him do the goddamn musical. But they did not let me do it. The musicals were always directed by Father Falbo, our chemistry teacher. And I didn't realize it at the time, but looking back upon it now, it was so blazingly obvious that he was a huge leather queen. I just assumed all priests smoked cigars and wore like leather riding crop hats, and so he directed the musicals. And I just want to remind you, this is my only outlet. My only outlet under the direction of Father Falbo. And he also, his other side job, as well as directing, was designing the sets and building the sets for the musicals. And I kid you not, the set for Bye Bye Birdie was made completely out of that heavy PVC piping and like pressed wood and super glue. It was the scariest telephone hour ever staged. And so this is what I'm working with, okay? This was my outlet. It was like if you asked Rachel Zoe to go into a Strawberries and make it work. I mean, I was grasping at straws here. So my junior year, I was, after being kind of disillusioned with being cast as General Bullmoose in Little Abner, I was like, okay, I need a new outlet. So I approached an English teacher and asked her if I could start a speech and debate team. And for some of you might have done this in high school. For those of you who don't know, the part of it that I wanted to do was sort of like, it's basically monologue work. It's acting in a bubble, basically. You memorize a 10-minute piece and you perform it, and it's just basically a monologue, and you're judged by it. And so I was very drawn to the dramatic monologues, of course. And my junior year, I did the Paul's monologue from a chorus line. Didn't even change the reference to him being Puerto Rican. Just owned it. And I did very, very well. Very well. I placed. I'm actually way more humble than this, but it's whatever. And so my senior year, I wanted to bump it up a little bit. So I chose a piece from a play that I was absolutely obsessed with at the time. And I did very well again, and I actually ended up going to nationals, which happened to be in Kansas City, the Bible Belt. So I need you to imagine, if you will, a 17-year-old, semi-closeted, skinny, red-headed kid in the middle of the Bible Belt doing Tony Kushner's Angels in America. My Roy Cohen was amazing. It's not AIDS. AIDS are for homosexuals. I have liver cancer. It was very convincing. But needless to say, Kansas City did not quite get it, and I did not place well. But I was very proud of myself for doing something that I was so passionate about, and also for my parents for being there and supporting me and being so lovely. And I don't think it made them terribly comfortable to watch that, but they were there, and that meant a lot to me. And yeah. Also, side note, after stealing porn, gay porn, being obsessed with musical theater, and doing monologues from Chorus Line and Angels in America, I still had to come out to my dad 3 times, just saying. Oblivious. But so I come back from nationals, kind of with my tail between my legs, and my theology teacher, of all people, my religion class, she said, I heard that you did this thing in Kansas City. Would you like to share it with the class? And I thought, obviously this woman knows nothing about what Angels in America is. So I, of course, said, sure. I'll need 15 minutes and this much space. And so I stood in front of my theology class and in front of my 3 friends that I had probably in high school, and in front of my bullies, and in front of kids that let me be invisible. They didn't really pay attention to me. And I stood there and I did Tony Kushner's Angels America, 10 minutes of it. And I fucked and fagged and cried my way through that piece of shit. And I touched kids, and I saw that. I think I made some uncomfortable. I think some probably laughed at me because they were uncomfortable, but most of them gave me the honor of their time, and they listened to me, and they let me be heard. And afterwards, this kid Brody, who I'd never talked to in the whole 12 years I went to school with him, came up to me and he was like, "That was amazing. You're going to be amazing someday, and thank you for sharing that with me, and I think you're a really awesome guy." And I, for the first time, saw what it meant to be visible and to change people's opinions. And ever since then, I think something sort of clicked in, and I don't like to call myself an activist or be lofty about what I do. I mean, I'm on a sitcom. It's not that big of a deal. But I do think if I had a show like Modern Family on when I was a kid, things would have been a lot different. And so thank you. I didn't put on TV. I'm just in it. But I think, along with Eric Stone Street, we do see the impact that it has and what this visibility means, and we don't take that lightly. So to get an honor like this without Eric, yes, it's just incredibly touching, and I just thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for listening to my long-winded story, and I love you all. Thank you so much.